According to the U.S. Census Bureau, of the 312.59 million people living in the U.S. in 2011, the number of people living alone is given in the two-way table below. So notice over here we have living alone versus living with others. We could have said living alone and not living alone, but this is going to be just the same sort of concept, different description. And across the top we have all of our age categories. What's the probability of living alone? Now notice it didn't start with an if statement, so we're doing this out of the total. So we want to look at total people living alone. In that case, we would look here for the total. It would be all of those numbers added up. So there's 32.73 million Americans living alone out of all 312.59 million Americans. That's approximately 10.5%. What's the probability of being 65 or over? Okay, so how many people are 65 or over? So we're saying, here we go, let's see, all the 65 or over, that would be 21.4 and another 17.76. Notice this question didn't say anything about whether they lived alone or they lived with others. So we're just looking for all of the people who are 65 and over, and I had to add in the 65 to 74 with the over 75 crowd. And that's going to be out of 312.59 because I didn't ask for more than one category. I'm only talking about the age category. So it's approximately 12.5%. What's the probability of being under 65? Well, if this is 65 or over, the complementary event to that would be 100% of the people take away the 12.5% who are 65 or over, and that would leave you with the other 87.5%. What's the probability of being under 35 years of age and living alone? Okay, so I'm going to start looking here. Under 35 and living alone, those are the people in the top row that are under 35 and they're living alone. So I would need to add together the 1.45 and the 4.16. It didn't start with an if statement, so again, this is out of all 312.59. Approximately 1.8% of people are under 35 and living alone. To find the probability of being under 35 years of age or living alone, Qui added the total number of people in the first two columns to the total number of people in the first row. What did he do wrong? Well, if he added 2 rows and 2 columns, there were some kids, or some people, I should say, in the living alone under 25 that got counted twice. So being under 35 or living alone, some people right here are under 35 and living alone, under 35 and living alone. They got counted twice. So some people were counted twice. And that often happens with the word or. Got to be careful with the word or. That's the hardest word in all of this, sorry. Some people were counted twice. Refer to problem 10.6 above to complete the table below. So in the table below, we're going to do one of those relative frequency tables where we use percentages. So relative frequency table, we said for convenience, all of these were going to be read vertically from top to bottom. So we're going to look at 1.45 out of 111.12. Then we're going to look at 109.67 out of 111.12. It's always going to be out of the total for the column. So 1.45 out of 111.12, approximately 1% are living alone and under 25. Living with others and under 25, well, I think that's just about everyone listening to this video. But that's going to be an awful lot, approximately 99% of people who are under 25 are living with others. So if you think about being in high school or less, they're all living with their parents. And then if you think about college students, they're probably living with roommates, people who've just gotten out of college, living with roommates, possibly living with a significant other. If we do this for each one, we're always going to take the number in that rectangle out of the total, which is directly below it. So we're going to have, in this case, 4.16 out of 41.57 or 10%, and we're just going to continue all the way across in the same manner. Notice each one of these columns should add up to about 100%. It's going to be close. Every now and then you'll round one thing up and one thing down, and they won't quite hit 100. You might get a 101. You might get a